Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel LINQ Part 2 Filtering and Projection. Imagine you have an e-commerce application and your database contains 1 million record of data. On the home page you only need to show 3 pieces of information: the product name, the price and the thumbnail. Why we should retrieve all of the column from the database when we only need 3 pieces of them? Because it wastes the memory, the bandwidth and also the performance. Or in situation that we have a list of order and each order contains multiple lists of products. What happens if the, for example, manager need a flat list of every product that sold today? Or what happens if we have 100,000 of duplicate data? Or maybe you need only the data on the page number 5. Or how you can manage 100,000 of record in batch? They are all of them the real world example that LINQ has elegant solution for every one of them. But in this video, we are not gonna to learn only some LINQ method. In this video, we are gonna to know how C# professional developer manage, filter, and optimize the data. Now, let's get started. Now, it's time to talk about the select. It's so important. Before we go throughout the select, it's important to know the meaning of the projection because it's so important. Projection means to change the representation of one object into another shape. For example, here I have a product shape, something like this: ID, name, price, description, category. But in the API, we only need the name and price. It means we have to only retrieve the data we need, name and price. It means projection. Unfortunately, many beginner developers think that the projection means they make the object smaller, but it's a part of the story. The projection helps us to reduce the memory usage. It helps us to reduce the network traffic, improve SQL performance, and also build DTO. Projection means actually retrieve the actual data the client needs. Many C# professional developers get only the data or the shape that the client needs, not the unnecessary data. Now, it's time to go throughout the select. Let's get started. Now, it's time to talk about the select. Select is the most frequently used LINQ method. If you work 1 week with the LINQ method, chances are you will use select hundreds of times. Almost every C# application transforms data before returning it. Now, it's time to know the syntax of a select, how we can return a property, how we can return an object, what happened inside the entity framework, and what is a common mistake that every beginner do in the select. Let's get started with the syntax of a select. It's so important, but it's so easy. Don't worry, it's so easy. Now here I have a list of products. I want to get all of them. Here I want to create an item div result. Now, what is the first item when you want to use select is the data source. My data source is products because because it's a list of product and it's a collection. Now, I want to use select. In the select, you will use lambda expression. The first one is something like this. Now, if you can type anything, C, T, everything that you want. Now I press dot, you will access to all of the property of each item in this data source. For example, I want to access the name of this product, and after that, just do something like this. Now I want to show you the output. Here I say I want to print the name of each product in the output. Did you see what happened? The first shape was a product. In products, there is a list of products, but the return type is string because it's returned the name of the product. That's we call projection, and that's the task of select. The task of select is to change the shape of a collection. Now, if you press F5 or run the program, you will see the name of all of our product in the output, something like this. Oh, sorry, I forgot that item that. Sorry, I forgot. Sorry, result. Now, if you run F5, you'll see iPhone, car, TV, and modem. The product comes from this seeder. I will create some basic example for this video. Now, if we want to create or if we want to return an object, for example, I want to return name, I want to return price, and also return something, for example, description. In situation like this, you can create a very basic object, something like this. It's very easy. You can say C name, I want to create C name and C price, and also, sorry, and C description. Now, here in the result, now you have to specify each item you want use. You have to specify which part of data you want to show. For example, here I want to say, hey, just show the price. If I press F5, you will see the result in the output. Okay, but in the real world example, we don't use and we don't create an object, a new object like this. In the real world application, we are creating DTO. DTO stands for Data Transfer Object. Is a valuable tool for transferring data into a different part of the application, because in the real world application, the entity remains in the application and the DTO returns for the client. For example, here I have created a basic DTO. Here I only want to return the name and price. I come here and say, hey, I want to create a DTO. And here I just say, hey, product DTO. But I cannot return something like this. I have to say, hey, name is equal to this, price is something like this. But now I don't have description in my DTO. I have to delete that. Now, if I come here, the return type is I enumerable of product DTO. If I come here, you will see the output is the same as the before. Okay, now it's time to talk about what happened in entity framework when you are, for example, creating something like this. For example, you are saying, hey, select C and new product DTO, or what happened if we come here and say, hey, result 1 and product, for example, products dot, for example, just something like products dot to list. Now, in situation like this, you will see how and why we are saying the select is so important. Because in situation like this, now you will see something like this. Select star from, for example, the table products. Okay, it's equal to something like this. Select star from products, but this one is equal to this. Select star, not star, name price from product. It's better because it reduces the network traffic, it reduces the memory usage, it also improves the SQL performance. It's so important. But before we go through the SelectMany, I have to tell you one of the most important points. Unfortunately, many beginners do something like this. For example, they come and do something like this. For example, I have products. Okay, products, let me say mistake. Products mistake. Okay, what's the difference between this and do something like this? For example, say products dot select and do something like this, new product DTO, and do something like this. I want to show you a very important point. And after that, do to list dot to list. What's the difference between these two parts? It's so important. Okay, because you are sorry. See, something like this. Let me change it to this view. Now, what's the difference between these two items, this and this? It's so important. The difference is so important. It's something like I enumerable and I queryable. At this one, when we say to list, in the previous episode, I told you in the LINQ we have two parts, deferred execution and immediate execution. When you are using to list, it means immediate execution. It means we want to connect to database and bring all of the data. When you use to list, all this item load all of the column and all of the data into memory, and after that when you are using something like this, you are doing filtering on the RAM. It's completely wrong. But when you are doing something like this, for example, first of all, you are using projection and doing something like this, and after that you are using immediate execution. It's so important because you are doing the filter on the database, and after that you are doing create a new projection, and after that immediate execution happens, and it brings all of the data about the name and price, not all of the column. It's so important. But there is one important question: what's the difference between select and for each? It's so important. Pay attention. You are using for each for working some special action on the collection, on the all of the item. For example, here I want to print some data. For example, I want to change some data. But select means you want to change the shape of one collection into another shape, and you want to return a new collection. It's so important. When you don't want to return a new collection, please don't use select, because it's so important. Now it's time to know what is SelectMany and what's the difference between SelectMany and select. It's so important. Let's do that. Now, it's time to know what is SelectMany. It's so important. Pay attention. In the seeder, I have a product seeder. I have a method is getOrder. Here, I'm returning a list of list product. It means it is a list of order that each order contains a list of product. For example, the first list is iPhone modem, and the second list is TV modem, and the last one is car. If I come here to this here, and here I'm returning the list. If I do something like this, for example, I'm saying output. Now say, hey, orders. If I type select, something like this. Now, if you come here, now if you press dot, now its item, its C is one item in the each list of order. Okay, now I have to create another select for that, because we want to access the name of each product, c.name. Now I'm returning, but what I'm returning here? Now I'm returning, pay attention. Now I'm returning a list of an enumerable string, but now I need a flattened list, a list that only return an enumerable of string, just this part, not another enumerable. In situation like this, you can use SelectMany. It's so easy. Now, if you pay attention, now you are returning an enumerable of a string. Now, if I create a for each and go through that, you will see the name of each product in the output. If I say item, now if you press F5, you will see iPhone modem, TV modem, and car. Did you see how SelectMany can help us in situation that like this, that we need a flattened list? Now it's time to know what is OfType, and after that this thing. Let's do that. Now it's time to talk about the OfType and cast. So far, we have worked with the strongly typed collection. For example, a list of product, a list of customer, a list of user. In this kind of collection, every item has the same type. But in the real world application, when we are working with the older API, or when we are working with the elder application, or where we are working with the non-generic application, maybe we encounter with the some collection that they have different type. For example, here I have an array list. It has one string, one integer, two kind of product, and one data type. Okay, now I want to access some type of product in this collection. Maybe a beginner do something like this. For example, items cast product. At the first glance, it's reasonable, but when you run the program, you will get an error. It say, hey, system invalid cast exception. What happened here? In here, the cast assume that all of the item can be converted to the product. When he encountered the first item is an string. Can we convert an string to the product? No. The second item is integer. Can we convert an integer to the product? No. In situation like this, That's the time the OfType become useful because it's so important. If I change the cast to the OfType, what happened here? If I run the program, I will see something like this. LINQ product. Let me change it to item name, for example. If I run the program, you will see the name of the product in the output. Okay, now because I don't have any item, if I come here and say do something like this, sorry, and say hey, ID equal to 1 and name, for example, is iPhone, and do this for the second product. Do something like this and change the ID to do and the iPhone 2. Now, if I run the program, you will see iPhone 1 and iPhone 2. But what's the difference between OfType and the cast? It's so important. We are talking about the conversion, I mean cast, and the filtering, I mean OfType. What's the difference? When you are working with the collection that you are sure 100 of data type are the same, use cast. But when you are working with the different data type collection, use OfType, because when you're working with OfType, when it goes through the collection, it encounters the first one. The first one is Ali. It's an string. In situation like this, OfType ignore the Ali, ignore 25, and the third item is product. It take it, and after that is date time. Ignore it, and the last one is product. Take it. Okay, it means the OfType ignore all of the items that don't have the same data type with the type that I want to access. Okay, that's the difference between OfType and cast. OfType means filtering, cast means converging. For situation that all of the data type has the same type, use cast. But when you are working with the data type that they have different data type, use OfType. Now it's time to know how we can manage duplicate data in the, for example, real world application with LINQ. It's time to talk about these things. Let's do it. Now it's time to talk about the distinct and how we can manage duplicate data in the collection. Here I have a list of int and a list of string and list of product. First one is a list of integer. In situation like this, for example, I create an item result. Now what's the data source? My data source in numbers. Now I want to distinct. The syntax of distinct is something like this. You are just call the distinct method and open and close a parenthesis. Something like this. In situation like this, the distinct method will remove all of the duplicate data from the collection. Here our collection is numbers. Now if I go through the collection with the for each and do something like this, now say item. In the output, we won't see any duplicate data. Here you can see I have 3, 2, 1, 2, and 3. But here in the output, I only have 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 4, 1, 5, 1, 3, and only now I don't have any duplicate data. For example, it can work for the string, something like this. Age, cars, change the numbers to cars. Now if I run the program, I have 2 Benz, 1 BMW, and 1 Ferrari. Now in the output, I only see 1 Benz. Now I don't have any duplicate. But what happened for the custom class like product? Now I have a list of product. The ID is 1, the ID is 2. The name is product 1, and the second one is the product name is product 2. If I come here and do something like this, okay, now I have to, for example, let me change it to do something like this, ID 1 and ID 2. Now the name of both products are the same, okay, but in the output you will see something different. For example, let me change this to this one. You will see product and product, they are the same. Did you see what happened? They are the same, but the CLR take them as a different item. What happened here? Don't remove and memorize this point. It's so important. In the primitive data type like int and string, you can use distinct method and it's so easy. But for the custom class, you have to override the equal and get hash code, because the custom class and the classes are the reference type, and they are using different memory address. For this reason, the CLR say, hey, they are the two different data types. For this reason, they are not the same. They are two different items. But how we can manage situation like this? You have to use, after .NET 6, you have to use a special item is distinct by. You can use distinct by method. It's so easy. Here you have to use a lambda expression. You have to say in which property you want to compare these two items. For example, I say, hey, with ID. Now, if I go, for example, something like this. Now, both of them are different. Okay, now I will see in the output one item, only one product, because I'm saying, hey, see, compare and distinct by ID. Now the ID is 1, the ID is 1. Okay, they are the same. For this reason, the compiler say, hey, the ID are equal. I mean, they are one item. And now the distinct happen here. Don't forget, for primitive type like int and string, it's so easy. Use only the distinct method. But for the custom classes like, for example, product, customer, use every class that you have created, you have two ways. First one is to override the equality and get the hash code method in your custom class. And the second way is after .NET 6 come, it's use the distinct by method. In distinct by method, you have to say on which property you want to compare two items. Now it's time to talk about skip, take, and chunk, and how you can pagination, how you can use pagination in your application. Let's do that. Now it's time to talk about the one of the most common structure in the application in the all of the world. I mean pagination. For example, you have 1 million record of data, and user asks for some 20 record of data. In situation like this, would you send all of 1 million record to the data? Obviously not, because it's so bad and it uses a lot of memory usage, it uses a lot of network traffic, and it's not SQL performance. In situation like this, two items comes in, skip and take. Now, first of all, you have to know what is take and what is skip. Let me give you an example. For example, here I have a list of integer. Let me create a result. For example, what is my data source? My data source is numbers. Now, what is take? A take is a special method in the LINQ. You can take on, for example, how many data you want to take. For example, here I say, hey, take, for example, 3. Now, what's the output? If I come here and say, hey, I want to use a for each, I want to go throughout the result and create an iteration, CW, and use item, show all of them. Now, it said take 3 items. What is my 3 item? It means 2, 1, and 4. Now, in the output, I have to see 2, 1, and 4. It's the result of the take. For example, I say, hey, change it to 5. For example, I'm saying 5. The output will be something like this: 2, 1, 4, 20, 2, and 5. You will see in the output 2, 1, 4, 2, and 5. Okay, suppose you have a collection. You want to go through all of the collection. For example, you want to skip some of the item and after that take some data. For example, I want to skip these 3 items and after that take 2 items. For example, I want to take these 2 items. First of all, I have to skip these 3 items. For situation like this, before take, you have to use skip. Skip. In skip, you have to say how many data you want to skip. I'm saying 3, and after that, I want to take 2 items. Now, the output should be 2 and 5. You can see that with 2 and 5. But did you pay attention? What's the for example, when you want to use pagination, okay, in the real world application, it has a very special formula. It says skip page number -1 times page size, then take page size. For example, I am a user and I'm in the application. For example, in this web page, I have, for example, 1 million record of data. I want to see only, for example, 100 of data in each page. For example, in situation like this, the page size is 100 and I want to see the page number 1. The page number is 1. Okay, we say skip page number is 1. 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. 0 times page size means 0. It say skip nothing and take page size. Page size was 100. It take the first 100 in the database. After that, I go to the second page. The second page, the page size is 2, the page number is 2, and the page size is 100. The page number is 2. 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. 1 times page size, the page size is 100. It means 100. It say, hey, skip 100. It means the second 100 in the table. And take page size, takes 100 item. It's so obvious. It's so easy. Okay, we use this formula with all of the application that use pagination. It's equal to the offset, something like this. For example, this formula, for example, skip, for example, something like this. It say to the SQL, hey, offset 20 rows. After that, it's something like take. Fetch next 20 rows only. It's take. The offset means skip. But there is one common mistake. For example, when you want to use pagination, don't forget to put the tools in the last section, in the end part. Okay. For example, I say, for example, war is, and say, hey, for example, numbers. For example, say skip. Let me do something like this. Skip 2, for example. Take 5 and full list. What's the difference between these and do something like this? For example, you say something like this. I told you, when you are using something like this, you are saying, hey, it's an immediate execution. It's wrong. Let me do something like this. Put a comment. It's a wrong way. Wrong way is correct way. Now, in the wrong way, you are bringing all of the data to the RAM. For example, 1 million record of data, bring all of them to RAM, and after that, skip 2 of them and take one, for example, 5 of this item. It's completely wrong. First of all, we have to create a pagination on our SQL query. For example, skip 2 and take 5. In a situation like this, first, we are creating a projection and we are creating a filter. And after that, use tools to use immediate execution. It's so important. It was everything about the skip and take. Now it's time to talk about the chart. Suppose you have a application that you want to send, for example, 100,000 of email to all of our users. In situation like this, it's completely wrong to send all of your email in one step, because maybe the network traffic is high and you cannot send all of the email and the application will crash. In situation like this, you have to use chunk. The chunk comes in the .NET 6. You can use something like this. For example, on the numbers, I'm saying, hey, numbers dot chunk. I'm saying, for example, 3. In situation like this, I'm saying, hey, divide these numbers into 3 items. For example, this is a 1 chunk, this is a 1 chunk, and this is a 1 chunk, and the last one is 2 item. It has 2 items. Now we have 4 chunks. For example, we have 100,000 of email we want to send. For example, we are saying, hey, send, create, for example, 100 chunk for me, and in each chunk send some email. That's the power of chunk. Use chunk for all of your item that, for example, you have bulk update, you have bulk delete, you have, for example, you want to send, for example, a lot of email to all of your user. It's the power of chunk. Use the chunk for situation like this. In this video, we talked, that's a summarized notes about all of this video. We talk about the SelectMany, and after that we talk about the OfType and the difference between OfType and cast. After that we talk about the distinct and how we can manage duplicate data, and the last we talk about the pagination, I mean skip and takes, and the last subject was chunk. If this video helped you to understand filtering and projection, don't forget to like the video and subscribe the channel, because it's so important for me. In the next section, we will talk about the LINQ part 3. It's so important. Don't forget to see the video, like the video, and subscribe the channel. Goodbye.